Have you ever thought you knew everything about the person you marry until a single moment shattered that illusion completely? That's exactly what happened to Nisha. A loving wife, a dedicated professional, and someone who believed that her 7-year marriage to Araf was rock solid. They had built a beautiful life together of vacations, weekend brunches, inside jokes, even arguments that ended with laughter. But what if all that love was shared with someone else too? It all started on a random Tuesday, just like any other. Nisha was at a cafe copyright, waiting to meet a client, when she overheard a name that froze her mid-seep: Araf Malhotra. Her husband's name. Curious, she glanced over, only to see a woman scrolling through photos on her phone. A closer look, and Nisha's heart skipped a beat. That wasn't just any photo, it was a wedding picture. Araf. The same face, same eyes, same smiley, but with another woman. Nisha thought it had to be a misunderstanding, a look-alike, maybe. She couldn't breathe. Her hands trembled, but she forced herself to sit still, listen more. The woman, unaware of her silent audience, laughed softly and said to her friend, "My husband and I got married last year. Araf is not great with texts, but he makes the best chai." It was a casual line, but to Nisha, it felt like a punch in the gut. Back home that evening, Nisha acted like everything was normal. She watched Araf move around the kitchen, humming to himself, like he always did. She smiled, but something inside her had already started to shift. Doubt crept in where trust used to live. Could she be wrong? Was it some weird coincidence? Or was her husband actually living a double life? Over the next few days, she started noticing things she had ignored before: a late-night phone calls, unexplained trips, receipts for places they never visited together. Small lies started adding up. The more she dug, the more confused she became. Who was the man she had married? Then came the moment that changed everything. Nisha followed Araf one weekend, pretending to have a work event. What she discovered turned her world upside down. He wasn't with friends. He wasn't at a work meeting. He was walking into an apartment, a broken bar, and the woman from the cafe copyright opened the door. The story you're about to hear is not just about betrayal. It's about discovering hidden truths, facing emotional storms, and the difficult choices love forces us to make. This is not just Nisha's story, or it could be anyone's. Because sometimes, the person you trust the most turns out to be someone you never really knew. But before Nisha could confront Araf, something unexpected happened, something that would make this twisted triangle even more complicated. And no, it wasn't what you think. You won't believe what she did next. Stay tuned. Nisha stood frozen across the street, hidden behind a tree, her heart pounding so loud she could barely hear anything else. The woman, a young, confident, radiant, welcomed Araf inside with a smile that felt too familiar. Nisha's stomach turned. She had spent years loving him, trusting him, building a life together. And yet, here he was, walking into another home like he belonged there too. For a moment, Nisha hoped he was visiting a cousin or helping a friend. But deep down, she already knew the truth. The look on that woman's face wasn't casual, it was intimate, comfortable, like she had done this 100 times before. That night, Nisha didn't sleep. Her mind was a storm of questions. Who was this other woman? How long had this been going on? Was she the only one being lied to, or a broken bar? Was she the other woman? The thought chilled her. Her memories with Araf started flashing before her eyes. The night he proposed under the stars, the way he held her hand during her mother's surgery, the time they danced in the rain, laughing like kids. Were those moments even real? The next morning, she did something she never thought she would. She followed him again. But this time, she wasn't just looking for answers. She needed proof. Not just for herself, but because some part of her was afraid no one would believe her otherwise. Araf had always been charming, good with people, the type who knew exactly what to say and when. He could make a lie sound like a confession of love. As she dug deeper, small pieces of the puzzle began falling into place. There were texts she had ignored, nights he said he was working late, gifts she never received but found receipts for. She even found a hidden photo album on his laptop, password protected. She didn't know the password yet, but she wasn't going to stop now. Then, something strange happened. That same woman, the one who had opened the apartment door, showed up near Nisha's office building. not by accident. Their eyes met for just a second. The woman paused like she recognized her. And then, without a word, she turned and walked away. But not before slipping something into Nisha's bag, a folded note. Nisha opened it later, hands shaking. 4 words were scribbled in messy ink: "We need to talk soon." And just like that, Nisha realized that this wasn't just about love and betrayal anymore. This was bigger, much bigger than she had imagined. And she wasn't the only one caught in the web. Nisha read the note over and over, each word echoing louder in her mind. "We need to talk soon." What did this woman want to say? Was she another victim, like her? Or was she part of some game Nisha hadn't figured out yet? The unknown burned in her chest. But she knew one thing for sure: she had to meet her. But not without caution. She didn't tell Araf anything. In fact, she acted more normal than ever, cooking his favorite dinner, smiling at his stories, even kissing him goodnight like nothing was wrong. Every moment felt like a performance, but she had to keep playing until she understood what she was up against. The woman's name, as she later found out, was Tanya Singh, a graphic designer, a passionate dog lover, and according to social media broken Araf's wife. Not girlfriend, not casual partner, wife. Nisha's world tilted again. 2 marriages, 2 separate lives, 2 sets of lies. And somehow, they had both believed they were the only one. Tanya finally messaged Nisha a time and place: a quiet park, away from busy streets, as if secrecy was essential. When they met, there was no yelling, no blaming, just silence at first. The kind that holds too many questions. Tanya looked just as shaken. She said she'd started noticing things too. Inconsistent travel plans, disappearing money, whispers over phone calls. She had hired someone to look into it. And that's how she found out about Nisha. But the most shocking part wasn't what Araf had done. It was what he was still doing. Tanya hinted at something deeper, something about documents, property, and names that didn't quite add up. Was this really just a love triangle? Or was there something more dangerous hiding beneath it all? Neither of them had answers, not yet. As Tanya spoke, Nisha felt her pulse rise. Property papers, duplicate IDs, signatures that didn't match. This wasn't just a man playing with 2 hearts, so it was something calculated, something that had taken planning, patience, and purpose. Tanya pulled out a folder from her bag, filled with documents she had quietly collected over the past few weeks. Nisha flipped through them, each page tightening the knot in her stomach. Araf wasn't just lying to Thema, he was using them both. One document showed a property bought under Nisha's name, Mia, but she had never seen it before. Another listed Tanya as a co-owner of a flat in Gurgaon. Neither woman had signed anything knowingly. Their confusion quickly turned to fear. What else was he hiding? What was he gaining from this web of lies? That night, Nisha returned home with a calm mask and chaos in her chest. Araf was in the living room, sipping tea, watching some old Bollywood movie like nothing had changed. But Nisha's eyes had. She watched him differently now, not as a husband, but as a stranger who had stolen parts of her life and rewritten them for his own benefit. Every word he said felt like another layer of deception. Meanwhile, Tanya had managed to dig up one more lead, a bank transaction tied to a 3rd woman's name. Another account, another city, another possible wife. It was almost too much to believe. How could one man live so many lives and keep them all from crumbling? The next morning, Nisha received a message from an unknown number. Just 5 words. "He knows. He's watching you." Her hands went cold. Did Araf know they were onto him? Was he planning something? The line between love and danger was now thinner than ever, and someone was about to cross it. The message haunted Nisha all day. "He knows. He's watching you." It felt like a warning, not just a threat. She kept checking over her shoulder, watching windows, avoiding crowded places. Tanya had gone quiet too. No replies, no calls. It wasn't like her. Nisha's gut told her something was wrong. When she finally reached Tanya's phone the next evening, it was answered by a police officer. Her heart sank. Tanya had been found unconscious near her apartment building, her phone still clutched in her hand. No robbery, no injuries, just an unexplained collapse. It looked like stress, they said, or maybe something more. They were waiting for the toxicology report. Nisha knew it couldn't be coincidence. Tanya had been getting too close to the truth. Now she was silenced, maybe not permanently but enough to slow things down. Alone and afraid, Nisha rushed back home only to find another envelope slid under her door. This time, it wasn't a note. It was a USB drive. No name, no message, just a red dot drawn on it with a marker. She plugged it in with trembling hands. The folder inside contained video footage. Hidden camera clips, her short, shaky, time-stamped. Her living room, her bedroom, her car, her office. Every corner of her life had been watched, recorded. She couldn't breathe. It was beyond betrayal now. It was control, obsession, surveillance. Her phone, her laptop, and nothing felt safe anymore. Then came the final video in the folder. It showed Arav alone in a car, on a phone call. His voice was clear. If she digs further, shut it down. I don't care how. He wasn't just lying. He was orchestrating something. And whoever was helping him wasn't far away. That night, Nisha didn't go home. She checked into a small hotel, using a fake name. Cash only. Every noise made her jump. The once simple story of love, lies, and marriage had twisted into something darker, something dangerous. And now, Samionia, maybe more than Ania, wanted her silenced. But the biggest shock hadn't even come yet, because in all her searching, Nisha had missed one clue. One name that kept appearing in small print, signatures, and transfers. Her best friends. The one person she trusted most. The one who knew every detail of her life. Nisha couldn't believe her eyes. The name on the transfer papers, the signature on the lease, even the emergency contact on one of Araf's hospital forms. So it was all the same. Ria Kapoor, her best friend since college. The one who stood beside her at her wedding. The one she called crying the first time she suspected something was wrong. Ria, who had always told her Araf was too perfect, too smooth. Was that concern a broken bar or something else? Her hands shook as she dialed Ria's number. Straight to voicemail. A chill ran through her spine. She opened her photo gallery, flipping through old pictures of vacations, dinners, parties. Ria was always there, always close, and always somehow between Nisha and Araf. It was subtly an arm around a shoulder, a glance across the table, but it was there. That evening, she finally tracked Ria down. Not at home, not at work, but outside the same apartment Tanya had once shown her. And Araf was with her, laughing, carrying groceries, like they were a couple. Like this was normal. Nisha didn't know whether to scream or cry, so she did neither. She followed them quietly, patiently, until they went inside. Then she called the one person she had never thought she'd involve, Tanya's brother, a lawyer who had once offered help. He arrived within an hour, with copies of every document, every fake signature, and a plan. The confrontation was quick but intense. Araf's face drained when he saw her walk in, flanked by a lawyer and a police officer. Ria tried to explain, said she didn't know he was married, said she found out too late. But Nisha had seen enough. The betrayal cut too deep. Araf was arrested under charges of identity fraud, financial manipulation, and unlawful surveillance. He didn't fight it, just stared at Nisha with a strange, unreadable calm. In the weeks that followed, Nisha began piecing her life back together. Tanya recovered, slowly. The case went public. Social media buzzed with terms like double life, emotional betrayal, and marriage fraud. But just when Nisha thought it was over, her phone lit up with a message from an unknown number. You exposed one side of him. But do you know what he left behind in Dubai? Nisha stared at the message on her screen, her heart suddenly heavy again. Dubai? Another secret? Another life? For a moment, the fear came rushing back. But then she stopped herself. She had already walked through fire of betrayal, deception, even danger. If there was more to uncover, she could face it. But not now. Not today. In the weeks that followed, Nisha chose to focus on healing. She didn't reply to the message. She changed her number, deleted her social media, and took a long break from work. Tanya did the same. They stayed in touch. Two women who had once unknowingly shared a husband, now helping each other reclaim their lives. Tanya moved back to her hometown, closer to family. Nisha began therapy, slowly making peace with the chaos she'd survived. Ria never reached out again. And Nisha didn't go looking for explanations. Some betrayals didn't deserve closure. The pain she felt from Ria's silence was sharp, but it taught her the hardest truth. Sometimes, the people we trust most are the ones who watch us fall. Araf's case drew attention, but he stayed silent through the trial. No explanations, no apologies, just cold facts and evidence. Eventually, he was sentenced. The story of love, lies, marriage, mere husband-kid beway spread like wildfire on linear and emotional roller coaster that left people shocked, angry, and curious. Many reached out to Nisha with their own stories, reminding her that she wasn't alone, that what happened to her wasn't just rare, it was real, and far too common. Through it all, Nisha found something unexpected: strength. She had lost a lot of time, trust, love, but she had found herself again. She no longer saw her story as just a tragedy. It was a turning point, a warning, and maybe, one day, a lesson for someone else who might find themselves doubting what they're told. She didn't need every question answered. Not anymore. Whatever Araf left behind in Dubai wasn't her burden. It was his. Her story had already found its ending, not in revenge, but in freedom. And as she stood alone on her balcony, watching the sun dip below the skyline, she realized something quietly powerful. She survived. And that was enough.